Hey, so this is my performance learning journey of Trimester 1 of my second year at the con, and if I'm being honest, which I am, it was nothing like I'd planned, and I think that made it even more valuable.
Never ceasing, of her songs of loudest praise, teach me summer.
One of my biggest challenges early on was simply getting to uni consistently. Travelling with a one-car family, scheduling, and then fuel prices rocketing made accessing the con so difficult. And I absolutely freaked out at first. All the opportunities out the window absolutely terrified me. So, what did I do? I had a chat with Mr. Tim Monroe on our first university performance lecture. And he pointed out that performance doesn't always have to happen on a university stage. It can happen anywhere because it's a real audience who needs music all the time. He specifically encouraged me to look at community settings, nursing homes, church services, private concerts, and that one piece of advice shaped my entire trimester. So, I named this video Places to Perform. Alongside that, my uni days, which was Tuesdays, was absolutely stacked with everything you could possibly imagine and everything that I could fit to get the most out of my courses this trimester. Rehearsals back to back, performance lecture when it was on, my private lesson with Angela Turner, and whatever other workshops or practice sessions I could sneak my way into, including classical choir for a few weeks, and then also attending piano workshops on Thursday afternoons. All of this secretly transforming how I approach my practice and performance. And after finding two singers who were absolutely happy to practice on the only days that I could get into uni, I was feeling a whole lot better about my trimester. So, where did this trimester start? Well, in the practice rooms, working through my pieces that I had prepared with Angela. And the progression across the trimester was really clear when I look back at it. With the Churney, it was all about technique. Angela gave me this really structured hands separately then hands together method, isolating the first notes and swung rhythm, slow passage work, and then gradually building up tempo. It sounds simple, but it completely changed how I approached technically difficult passages. Instead of just running it until it worked, I actually had a method. Then with the Mozart, that shifted into interpretation, and just kept pushing me on the ornaments, making sure that even the fastest passages had a shape and emotional direction. She told me that Mozart almost never wrote in minor keys, which made me realise this piece carries something really specific and heavy, and I needed to honour that in every phase, not just in the big moments. And then the Grieg. This was a journey on its own. Technically, it was probably the hardest one of my pieces, the arpeggios especially. I kept rushing them, losing evenness between my hands, and it was really frustrating because the notes weren't the problem, the control was. Angela had me adding just 2 notes at a time in the arpeggios, which felt almost painfully slow, but it was the only thing that actually fixed it. Once the technique was there, we moved into interpretation, and this is where it got pretty interesting. The Grieg has this huge emotional range, from almost playing like lightfulness to really weighty, full-bodied moments, and I kept flattening it all out. I wasn't really letting the contrasts sit within each other. Angela really pushed me to commit to the character shifts, to not be subtle when the music isn't asking you to be subtle. And then finally the pedaling, which sounds like a small thing but completely changed the piece. I always over-pedal, blurring all my passages that need to be crisp and clean. So learning to lift the pedal more deliberately and put it down, and being conscious of where clarity mattered versus where the warmth really mattered, was the final piece of the puzzle that made the Grieg actually sound like the Grieg. Then there was collaborative work, and this was genuinely the most challenging part of my trimester. I spent time learning the repertoire independently and also rehearsing with both the Lahe and Zoe, but I really want to be honest here. Early on, I wasn't being truthful about how much music I'd actually learned. I'd say I was ready when I wasn't, because I doubted myself and didn't want to seem behind. And then when we got together for the first time and I actually tried to play, it fell apart. And that was a real wake-up call. And even once I was more prepared, Angela pointed out that I still wasn't truly listening to Alahe. I was playing my part correctly but not actually responding to her voice, her breathing and her phrasing. That was hard to hear but completely fair. Collaboration isn't just two people playing simultaneously. It's meant to be a conversation, and I'm still learning how to have that conversation properly. Going into the Margaret Nixon next trimester, that will be my number one focus. And then onto something scary, the church services. At the start of the trimester, I was not confident in this setting. I'd be getting the 22 hymns on Wednesday for Saturday, and when performance didn't go genuinely perfect, I'd be so upset. Frustrated with myself, replaying mistakes. But as the weeks went on, something shifted. I started to improvise more, naturally trusting my ear, filling the harmonic gaps in real time. My reading got so much faster and my hands got more instinctive. And the biggest change was emotional. I stopped treating every small mistake as a failure, and I started to understand that being under musical pressure and recovering gracefully when things don't go perfect is a skill. And by the end of the trimester, these services felt completely different to how they started, and I think that growth happened really fast here than anywhere else. So, better technique, a shifted approach to my practice, real challenges in collaboration, and growing confidence in performing, and finally understanding why I play. This trimester didn't go perfectly, and I'm glad it didn't. The moments that went wrong taught me the most. So, what's next trimester coming? Margaret Nixon, classical, choir, piano workshop, and finding that nursing home feeling on a formal stage. See you later!